In this video, we are going to review measures of center and measures of spread and determine which one is better for a specific data set and how we can determine when to use each one. So you might see the question, which measure of center better represents the data? And we're going to use this data set of numbers of shoes owned to help us determine should we be using the mean or the median to describe it. Before we begin, I want you to consider, what number do you think best represents the number of shoes owned? So we are going to find the mean and the median for this data set so we can compare which one is more representative of the entire data set. So to find the mean, I know that I'm going to add all of these up and then divide. So when I add them all up, I get 83. I'm going to divide by 8 because there are 8 values. And then divide, and I'll get 10.375. So the mean here is about here. If I'm going to find the median, I know I'm going to cross off until I get to the number in the middle. So now if I'm looking here, which number, 10.375 or 4.5, better represents the data as a whole? So the median is a better representation here. If you think back to what number you picked at the beginning, it was probably close to 4 or 5 because it was closer to all of the other numbers in the data set. For 10.375, there's one number close to it, one number very far away, but then all of the other data set is much smaller. So it's not very close to a majority of the values, whereas 4.5, the median, is. And that's because there's an outlier here, and an outlier 50 has a huge influence on the mean, but not on the median. So this outlier here, it takes that mean and moves it higher, but here in the median, it does not. It does not really move that median very much. So let's look at an example with that outlier removed. So again, I'm going to find the mean, and when I add all of these up, I get 33 now. Much different than that 83 from the beginning. I'm going to divide by 7, and now my mean is 4.714. That mean has gone down so much with that outlier removed. Now I'm going to find my median. I'm going to cross off until I get to the center, and now my median is 4. Now my mean is 4.7. And we can see that the mean changed a lot, but the median did not change very much. And that's again because that influence of the outlier. The outlier will change the mean so much because when you're adding larger numbers, that sum is getting higher and higher. The median does not change very much because we actually cross off that outlier in the very first step. So which one better represents the data? Well, it depends on if you have that outlier or not. So mean and standard deviation are always going to go together because you use the mean to find the standard deviation. Standard deviation is just your average distance from the mean. So they are what we call not resistant. An outlier will influence the data, will influence the value. Mean and interquartile range, however, is resistant. You use the median to find the IQR, and they're resistant because that outlier will not influence it. So you would not use mean and interquartile range, and you would not use standard deviation with median because you don't use those to help find the other one. You use mean to find standard deviation, and you use median to find interquartile range. So you can think of it as they always go together. So if you're looking at a graph and you want to think of this, whenever you have those outliers, the small points that make it skewed to the right or to the left, the median is going to stay closer to the center, but the mean is going to travel wherever that outlier is. So we can see here if it's left skewed, the mean is going to go towards the left. If it's a right skew, the mean is going to go towards the right, and it's going to go towards those outliers. If it's symmetrical, pretty even on both sides, the mean and the median are going to be about the same right in the center. Okay, so now it's your turn. What measure of center and spread best represents this data and why? Pause this video and do the work to find out. So there's no outlier here, so we would use mean and standard deviation. The mean is 18.235 and the standard deviation is 1.985.